Hello friends, welcome to Star Explainer. Tales of Herding Gods Part 420 explains based on novel. So let's start explanation. There's a visitor from Carefree Village. Blind and Mute looked at one another. They weren't as passionate as Founding Emperor had expected. Qin Mu had always wanted to find Carefree Village. If it wasn't for him, nobody in the disabled elderly village would care about the location of Carefree Village. Especially Mute, who was a survivor of the Heavenly Works god race, whose ancestors built the Parameter Arc. They were descendants of Sakura Buddha, Li Yuran. At the end of the Founding Emperor era, Founding Emperor brought a bunch of people to Carefree Village while the Heavenly Works god race built another Parameter Arc to reunite with him. However, they were massacred by the army of the celestial heavens before they could get there. The remaining members of the Heavenly Works god race were trapped in the three-dimensional space seal. They suffered a lot, and many died. Now, there was only Mute, the single surviving member of the Heavenly Works god race. In the end, Mute's parents sent the seal out before their death. As a result, he had to face the darkness and dangers of the Great Ruins alone as a child. Mute disliked Carefree Village the most. The Parameter Arc had been in the Great Ruins for a long time, and not once did he think about recovering it in order to go to Carefree Village, no matter how much he suffered. You come from Carefree Village. That's uncommon. There was a visitor from Carefree Village before the Eternal Peace Calamity, too. Someone called Heavenly Teacher Shi. She was a master of formations, and I learned quite a lot from her. Blind continued, however, during the Eternal Peace Calamity, she left with all of the gods of the Founding Emperor era under the order of Founding Emperor. We were left alone to handle the crisis. Are you here from Carefree Village to give us some order from Founding Emperor? Founding Emperor shook his head and said, when Heavenly Teacher Shi returned to Carefree Village, I heard her talk about the eternal peace reform, so I came here to broaden my horizons. Mute interrupted Blind and waved around, signaling something. Blind said, it's not that bad. Founding Emperor curiously asked, what's this Mute Daoist talking about? His scolding Founding Emperor. He said that Mua helped the four great heavenly kings of Founding Emperor with a lot of things. He helped Sakura Buddha reduce the power that the 20 heavens of the Buddhist world had in the celestial heavens. He also became his scapegoat willingly on top of saving the heavenly king of Mingju, Qian Shu, and mediating his feud with Yudu. Additionally, he resurrected heavenly king Dieyue. Blind continued to speak on behalf of Mute. Mua is the second disciple of Founding Emperor's Heavenly Teacher Woodcutter, and had great relations with Heavenly Teacher Fisherman, and Heavenly Teacher Shi of the four great Heavenly Teachers. Mua even helped martial arts Heavenly Teacher solve the problem of martial arts practitioners of the bullfighting world being unable to become gods without the divine bridge, which was a great favor on his part. Even Fengju was saved because Mua had great relations with Celestial Venerable Yu and Earth Count. Yet, Founding Emperor didn't return the favor. Instead, he ordered away all of the gods when the Eternal Peace Calamity occurred. This impotent emperor ran faster than a rabbit. Blind's gaze was filled with vigor as he looked at the excited Mute, who continued to make hand signs and gestures. Blind saw it and was frustrated. He advised him, he's a guest from far away, stop scolding him. You can't do that. After all, Founding Emperor is Mua's ancestor. Doing so means you're scolding Mua too. Don't worry, he's not scolding you, he's scolding Founding Emperor. It's rude, I know. Oh right, you come from Carefree Village, you aren't related to Founding Emperor, right? How do I address you? Founding Emperor was thinking about retrieving his Carefree sword so they could verify his identity, but he called off that idea after hearing them. Instead, he said, I'm just an ordinary god of Carefree Village named Yikai. I do research in Carefree Village, and I saw that you guys were discussing microscopic crystal structures, so I came to seek guidance. I didn't know that this Daoist mute had such a big grudge against Carefree Village. Blind felt relieved and smiled. As long as your surname isn't Qin. Mute, stop scolding. Mute angrily stopped before gesturing some more. Bar. Yes, his impotent, Blind said, frustrated. Founding Emperor coughed and asked, could the Mua you two are talking about be Qin Mu, Celestial Venerable Mu? The two elders instantly became energetic. Blind asked, you know Mua too? We taught him. Founding Emperor said, you two don't know this, but Celestial Venerable Mu went to Carefree Village recently. Blind and Mute's eyes lit up, and Blind hurriedly asked, did Mua see Founding Emperor? It was his lifelong wish to head to Carefree Village and meet his ancestors. Founding Emperor nodded. Did they fight? Blind hastily asked, I meant, did Mua and Founding Emperor fight? Founding Emperor helplessly admitted it, they fought. In an instant, the two elders smugly said, Mua is like this. He would surely fight Founding Emperor upon meeting him. Yi Kai, did Mua beat up Founding Emperor? Founding Emperor didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he asked, how do you two know that Celestial Venerable Mu beat up Founding Emperor, and not the other way around? They were visibly smug as Mute put down his box and supported his waist with his hands. Blind shook his leg while holding a staff and smiled, saying, if they fought on the same realm, Founding Emperor couldn't possibly beat Mua. That's the proper outcome. How was the fight? Was it brutal? Founding Emperor acknowledged it was brutal. Well fought. Mute scared Founding Emperor with a booming voice. Blind was extremely happy and smiled. That's expected out of Mua. He didn't waste years of careful guidance from us. Founding Emperor and Carefree Village must fall now. He should be beaten up, brutally too. Founding Emperor couldn't keep his expression and coughed. Gentlemen, the microscopic structure of this divine gold. Divine gold, black gold, and normal metal all have different microscopic structures, causing their flexibility and strength to be vastly different. Blind explained, thus, we planned on changing it, forging black gold into divine gold. We are currently working on it. Since you are from Carefree Village, what's the point of this research? Founding Emperor shook his head in a daze. Mute gestured in a way that signified his disdain. Blind said, it's not his fault, it's the incapable rulers. Founding Emperor blushed, and Blind continued, we found out that divine gold, black gold, and normal gold are the same substance in essence. They only vary in attributes and performance due to differences in microscopic structures. Thus, we plan on using Mute's forging to try and recreate black gold's microscopic structure, and forge it into divine gold. However, despite how marvelous Mute's Heaven Eon Furnace forging technique is, we still can't guarantee that the structure of the most microscopic crystals of black gold can be forged, nor can we hammer the crystals to face one direction. Mute gestured, and Blind spoke on his behalf. It's difficult to imprint runes and carve crystals on a microscopic scale. The forging master also has to have impeccable God eyes to be able to see every crystal on the microscopic scale. Founding Emperor groaned and probed them. Have you two tried using consciousness to forge on a microscopic scale, such as using consciousness and vital chi to sculpt rune imprints on a microscopic scale? Mute and Blind's eyes lit up as they looked at one another. Mute said, that could work. Blind shook his head, however, and said, there's still difficulty in this. One has to have high attainments in consciousness. For one to be able to have consciousness that can see on a microscopic scale, one has to cultivate to an extremely high realm. Only those with the three primordial spirit undying God consciousness have such power, and even then, one has to train the technique to a high level. Founding Emperor smiled. Don't worry, gentlemen. Celestial Venerable Mu's consciousness is unrivaled in strength. When he returns, he will impart a consciousness technique stronger than the three primordial spirit undying God consciousness. I believe it's possible to perform such sculpting of imprints on a microscopic scale. The two of you have opened a new trick in forging. Both of you have a great future ahead of you, be it in divine gold resources or forging of divine weapons. This is because you two can raise the power of divine weapons by several times, to the point that they are more powerful than gods and devils. However, will the celestial heavens allow such a reform? Blind leisurely said, "We are out of the celestial heavens' reach since we have Mua helping us. Anyways, such a reform won't change the great Tao of heaven and earth, so the celestial heavens won't know." Founding Emperor was startled as he compared his actions with Qin Mu. He felt grateful and asked, "What about the eternal peace Emperor? If he's too strong, he will be monitored by the celestial heavens, or even eliminated." "You mean Emperor Yanxiu?" Blind laughed. "Emperor Yanxiu may be smart, but she's not the strongest in cultivation in eternal peace. She only became a god a while ago. The celestial heavens don't have the time to spy on her. Emperor Yanxiu even went to the celestial heavens a while ago to bargain with the gods and devils of the Patriarch Creation Palace, so they would open more spirit energy mutual shift bridges, and send her resources from other heavens to build divine weapons." Founding Emperor's eyes expanded. He only recovered after a while before excusing himself and leaving. Blind and Mute tried to get him to stay. "Your brain is pretty active, and you have a talent for forging, which would be wasted if you follow Founding Emperor. Why don't you stay here, so we can research the technique of microscopic forging?" Founding Emperor insisted on leaving as he said, "I still have to see the results of other reforms of eternal peace. Besides, Carefree Village is hastening me to return." Blind and Mute had to send him off. "Don't hold too much hope for Carefree Village. If you don't mind after returning, come to eternal peace. We have a lot of jobs to do. If you go back to Carefree Village, you are essentially waiting to die." Blind said. Mute said that if you want to observe eternal peace's reform, go to the major academies of each study. Although they are called sects now, they are essentially academies. It was the first line of the reform. "Our village chief teaches sword skills at the Imperial College clan. You should be a student of the blade, meet him there, and you can learn a lot." Founding Emperor left frantically. Blind and Mute watched him leave, feeling grateful. There are still talents in Carefree Village. Unfortunately, this Ikigai follows Founding Emperor, who puts his talent to waste. At the Surging River Academy, the Heavenly Dragon treasure carriage stopped. Chinmu summoned Dragon Rearing Sovereign to ask about the academy. Dragon Rearing Sovereign replied, "The Surging River Academy is no longer called an academy, and is now called the Surging River Cult. Suyunji is the cult master, and Jahwali is the vice cult master. I changed my title to Elder of the Surging River Cult. We have been pretty lively these past few days. Heaven Knife Grandpa Butcher came. Besides him, another divine knife came and sparred with Grandpa Butcher, which excited the disciples. Grandpa Butcher came. Another divine knife. Could it be Luo Wushuang?" Qin Mu blinked. Luo Wushuang was kicked into the primordial tree celestial palace of the primordial realm by him. He probably had to massacre beings to escape. Unexpectedly, he was hiding there. If one doesn't work hard now, it will be useless to mourn when one's old. When will you open the knife skill of the Emperor's throne realm? Qin Mu walked out of his carriage. He had cultivated with people like village chief and butcher, so he learned a lot, causing him to have 15 celestial palaces. Amongst them, 8 were half palaces that were incomplete. They were, namely, the celestial palaces of the painting path, knife path, medicine path, divine arts path, forging path, Buddhist path, thief path, and formation path. Although Qin Mu obtained the passed-down wisdom of the masters of creation, and entered the path via divine arts, opening 8 heavens of it consecutively, his divine arts palace was still incomplete. Out of what the 9 elders of the disabled elderly village passed down, the only complete celestial palace he had was that of the sword. However, this wasn't to village chief's credit, it was due to Qin Mu's high attainment and comprehension in the sword path. He cultivated with people like Butcher since he was young and was greatly influenced by him and Old Ma. Even his overlord body 3 elixir technique was heavily influenced by them. Only when Butcher and Old Ma opened an emperor's throne level techniques would he be able to absorb the nutrients from them and perfect the 8 incomplete celestial palaces. Otherwise, it would be difficult for Qin Mu to break through to the god realm and become a god. Qin Mu headed down this time to avoid the power struggle in the celestial heavens and to supervise the cultivation of Butcher, Granny Sai, and blind and disabled elderly village so they could comprehend an emperor's throne technique earlier. Although the Surging River Academy changed its name to the Surging River Cult, there were no fundamental differences. The students were abnormally excited, for they got to see the face-off between 3 divine knives. Heaven Knife Butcher, Demon Knife Jahwali, and the one-armed divine knife that came out of nowhere. Their face-off was a fresh sight. Butcher's heaven knife was liberating and free, Jahwali's demon knife was peculiar and unpredictable, and the one-armed man's divine knife was precise and bold. Qin Mu saw the face-off between them before he even entered Surging River Academy. He stopped and saw how their knife lights were variated, gorgeous, and shocking as they sliced open the sky, forming black lines in people's eyes. Demon Knife Jahwali's capabilities had risen a lot. His cultivation was great, and he had extraordinary achievements in the knife path. He entered the path with the knife and came up with new ways to enter the path that were more suitable for him. Jahwali was the disciple of Luo Wushuang and Fu Riluo, an important figure of the devil race, so he had both divine and devilish nature in him. However, he couldn't enter the path with the knife for a long time, not until he met Butcher and his heaven knife. It was then that he became enlightened and broke through his mental barrier to enter the path with the knife. His knife skill had Luo Wushuang's precision and delicacy, but it also had the devil race's devilish nature and Butcher's magnificence. It was very impressive. Yet, he was the first to fall due to his shallow attainment. In the sky, only Heaven Knife Butcher and Luo Wushuang were still fighting. Qin Mu looked up and saw Luo Wushuang deploying the 14th heaven of his knife path. His knife skills became more marvelous, and his knife heaven's powers became shocking. Yet, Butcher blocked it. He let loose his knife path and broke 10,000 skills with one force and one knife. It had the intention of returning to basics. Suddenly, Luo Wushuang's knife aura exploded as he comprehended the 15th heaven of the knife path. Qin Mu was visibly shocked. When I kicked Luo Wushuang to the primordial realm, he had only comprehended the 14th heaven. He comprehended the 15th so soon. The 2 divine knives collided in the air. Heaven Knife Butcher instantly felt inferior. Yet, he became more bold and strong as he laughed and said, "Your knife is too precise. Although you comprehended boldness, it's still very artisan-like in essence." His knife light burst forth, opened, and closed. It shook Luo Wushuang's knife path's heavens and threatened to cut them in half. Luo Wushuang coldly laughed. "Heaven Knife, your knife is too overbearing. You don't know about restraint. All you know about is using your knife. When you've learned restraint, you will be the #1 divine knife under the heavens, even above me." Their divine knives collided, and their knife lights burst forth and shone on everyone. Both of them were injured and fell from the sky. Qin Mu was impressed and walked up. At that moment, Butcher recited loudly, "We go to battle in fancy and luxurious equipment, yet after the battle, all that's left is the pitiful moonlight shining on us. Qin Mu followed up loudly. The drums of war in the city still echo through the fields as the blood on the knife in the armory is still wet. Butcher was surprised and pleased as he rushed out of Surging River Academy while laughing. Mua is back. They met, and Qin Mu opened his arms to hug Butcher, but Butcher cleaved with his knife, hollering, "I'm attacking, Mua." Qin Mu was shocked and dodged. He made 2 divine knives with his sword pellet, and their knife lights crisscrossed. After a while, Butcher's blade was on Qin Mu's neck. He was furious. "You embarrass me, still not having entered the path. You're even worse than Little Zhe." Qin Mu blushed and murmured, "Grandpa Butcher, it's not that I can't. I just put more effort into the sword path and divine arts." Butcher spat and glanced at Qin Mu's entourage. He was shocked as he whispered, "There are people more beautiful than Granny Sai. Is this your wife?" Qin Mu blushed even more as he whispered, "Not yet. Pooh. This is Divine King Lang Wo, the Divine King of the Masters of Creation. She's an expert that can compete with celestial venerables." Divine King Lang Wo greeted him. Butcher became stern and returned the greeting properly. He said, "Mua, don't leave yet. I will feed you tricks, so that you don't neglect your knife path." Qin Mu had to nod. On the other side, Luo Wushuang rushed over with his knife. He was visibly solemn. Qin Mu smiled and said, "Divine Knife Luo, your improvement is rapid." Luo Wushuang pressed on his knife and coldly said, "You kicked me into the primordial tree celestial palace, and caused me to be surrounded. I had to massacre people there just to avoid exposing my identity. Celestial Venerable Xiao's strong practitioners chased me for 2 whole years, and made me suffer." Qin Mu smiled. "If it wasn't so, you wouldn't have been able to cultivate the 15th heaven of your knife path. Don't be rash, put down the knife. Zhehuali, help me persuade your master." Zhehuali walked over, shook his head, and said, "He isn't my master anymore, he's my Dao friend. I can't persuade him." "Celestial Venerable Mu, your title carries a lot of weight with it. How good are your knife skills?" Qin Mu humped, and Luo Wushuang saw Divine King Lang Wo. He was scared as he hastily asked, "Yun Chuxiu? Mistress Yuan Mu?" Qin Mu hastily stopped him, shook his head, and explained, "This is the original owner." Luo Wushuang hesitantly asked, "There are ladies like this in this world?" Qin Mu stayed in the Surging River Academy, and Divine King Lang Wo saw Qin Mu fight the 3 divine knives. He was beaten until his face was swollen and his nose was bruised. The injuries on his body were never-ending, which made her curious. Given Qin Mu's capabilities, if he used his divine arts via his consciousness, even Luo Wushuang would have a hard time breaking it. Yet, he insisted on using his knife skills against the 3 divine knives, which caused him to lose badly. 5 days later, Butcher lost his patience and said, "Your foundation is good. You learn everything quickly, but you just can't enter the path with the knife. It's probably because you care too much about your other paths. You should leave now." Qin Mu had to leave and continue on in the carriage. "Celestial Venerable Mu, if you're free, compare knife skills with me." Zhehuali waved at him. Qin Mu humped, visibly displeased. The carriage went on for several days, and they neared Fallen God Valley. It was leveled. Qin Mu wanted to go around it to go to River Tomb Academy to find Imperial Preceptor Jiang Baigui's whereabouts. Suddenly, however, he saw a straw hut in the Fallen God Valley, and a young man walked out of it. It was a young Celestial Venerable Yu. Qin Mu was stunned and ordered Jutian Devil King to stop. The young Celestial Venerable Yu saw him and was stunned too. He said, "It's been a long time, Cult Master Qin." As soon as he stopped, a box walked out of the hut. It ran towards Qin Mu upon seeing him. It ran around Qin Mu's legs, and was affectionate towards him. It then ran to the dragon Chilin's side and opened and closed itself repeatedly, as if it had a lot to say to him. The dragon Chilin sat on the box, and the box ran around carrying him. Qin Mu walked out of the carriage, getting everyone else to stay on the carriage, as he walked to the young celestial venerable Yu alone. He said, "Shingan Daoist, have you finished studying the secrets to this corporeal body?" Shingan glanced at the carriage, retracted his gaze, and invited him into the hut. About there. This corporeal body contains all sorts of delicate runes of the ancient gods that can create all sorts of celestial palaces and ancient gods. It's impressive. Please look at it, Cult Master Qin. His straw hut seemed small, but it had a lot of space inside. There were countless bookshelves filled with books inside. Qin Mu picked up a book, and saw that there were all sorts of great Dao runes of the ancient gods recorded inside. Qin Mu closed the book and said, "Shingan, your talent is extraordinary, but you used it in the wrong place." Shingan raised his eyebrows and proudly said with some conceit, "I may not have done many good things, or saved people during the eternal peace calamity 5 years ago, but if I finish researching the marvels of this corporeal body, I can help the world. People will recognize me. Cult Master Qin, you are just jealous of me." Qin Mu shook his head. He retrieved a mirror and said, "The jade scroll in this mirror recorded down all of the great Dao runes of the ancient gods in this body of yours. Now I will give it to you." Shingan's mind was blown as he took the mirror and examined the jade scrolls inside it. It indeed had the great Dao runes found in the divine weapon Celestial Venerable Yu. It was even more precise than his, as Qin Mu had recalculated it with microscopic algebra. He was disappointed and could hardly recover. "You are too shut off. You come into contact with the outside world too rarely." Qin Mu looked at him pitifully and said, "I gave the executives of the Eternal Peace Reform this jade scroll. Although it isn't everything, it has quite a lot. If you interacted with other people more, you wouldn't have wasted 5 years here." Shingan humphed and took the mirror. He plainly asked, "Have you comprehended the achievement of using your body as a Dao foundation to hide the ancient gods of the heavenly cycle?" Qin Mu's aura rumbled as divine light appeared around his body. 2,000 or so ancient gods appeared on his corporeal body as he asked, "Are you talking about this?" Shingan was dumbstruck, and he found himself unable to speak. Qin Mu dispersed the apparition of the ancient gods and praised him. "You are able to comprehend hiding the ancient gods of the heavenly cycle in your own corporeal body through your own exploration. You definitely have great talent, though that's to be expected of a saint of the previous generation. You should seek Dao Master Lin Xian. His attainment in microscopic algebra is way above mine, and he has researched the great Dao runes of the ancient gods for a long time. If your wisdom is combined with his, more can be achieved with less effort." Shingan became silent and stored the straw hut with the wave of his hand as he prepared to move. Qin Mu extended his hand to stop him, and Shingan was confused. Qin Mu smiled. "When we traveled through here, you captured this body, which had a shred of consciousness of a celestial venerable. Is it still here?" Shingan nodded and said, "I couldn't refine it, so I sealed it." "Give it to me." Qin Mu's gaze flashed. Shingan retrieved a jade bottle and passed it to him. He turned around to call on his box before picking it up and leaving. Qin Mu watched him leave before returning to the carriage. He played with the bottle and was visibly in deep thoughts. Shu Jun looked at it and inquired, "What's inside, holy infant?" "A shred of consciousness of a celestial venerable." The carriage set forth, and Qin Mu looked at fallen God Valley outside. His gaze was faint as he said, 5 years ago, when the divine weapon Celestial Venerable Yu was created, a Celestial Venerable came here immediately to see if Celestial Venerable Ling was really dead. Then, I entered the place with Celestial Emperor's disciple, Yang Qiling, as well as Shingan and others. Only Celestial Emperor and the Grand Emperor care this much about the fate of Celestial Venerable Ling. Celestial Emperor sent Yang Qiling here. So it must have been the Grand Emperor. He examined the jade bottle, and plainly said, Celestial Emperor only cares about his corporeal body, while the Grand Emperor cares about Celestial Venerable Ling's death. At that time, I was thinking about how coincidental it was that others were exploring the Fallen God Valley at the same time I was. Now, it seems that the Grand Emperor and Celestial Emperor predicted correctly that only I could open the Fallen God Valley and enter it. So they arrived here with me. It's just that the Grand Emperor failed to predict that his consciousness would one day be in my hands. You are saying that the Grand Emperor's consciousness is in this bottle. Divine King Lang Wo's gaze flashed. Part 420 end here. Thank you for watching.